Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the story of Gibraltar International Airport. Now, this isn't just any airport. It's honestly one of the most fascinating geopolitical and infrastructural anomalies on the entire planet. Think about your typical airport experience for a second. Usually you're dealing with a massive, sprawling complex, right? It's tucked away miles outside the city limits, completely isolated from normal civilian life. Well, not this one. This facility is actually woven directly into the immediate fabric of daily life, sitting on a narrow, low-lying strip of land a mere 400 meters from the town center. Picture this. You're sitting in your car, waiting 10 to 15 minutes at a railroad-style crossing. But you're not waiting for a passing commuter train. You are waiting for a massive Airbus jet to touch down literally right in front of your car. I know, it sounds like a totally fabricated scene from some high-budget action movie. But for decades, this was just an everyday reality for the 34,000 residents of this British overseas territory. Their main, everyday connection to mainland Spain shared the exact same, highly contested real estate as landing commercial airliners. So, let's get right into part one, crossing a live runway on Winston Churchill Avenue. For decades, Winston Churchill Avenue, which is a main four-lane highway, cut directly across the middle of the active runway. You literally drove over the landing strip. Whenever a jet arrived from London or Manchester, railroad gates would close down, entirely pausing vehicular and pedestrian traffic. It was this astonishing logistical dance, bringing the daily commute of thousands to a dead stop, just so a multi-ton aircraft could scream across the asphalt. Thankfully, today, a newly constructed modern engineering marvel cleanly routes all that daily traffic safely underneath the airfield through a tunnel. It finally put an end to those legendary traffic jams and fundamentally separated the cars from the planes. But man, the legacy of that iconic intersection absolutely lives on. And here is something really wild. This is one of the only places on Earth where you can stroll across the exact asphalt a commercial jet landed on just minutes prior. Unlike almost any other active international airport, which, have highly restricted security perimeters, visitors arriving on foot from Spain are actually permitted to walk directly across the tarmac boundaries whenever the runway is clear. The area gets absolutely saturated with tourists taking photos. I mean, can you imagine snapping a selfie on the very spot where a massive jet just slammed on its brakes?
Moving right along to part two, extreme landings, weather, and geography. The absolute most crucial factor here is this number, 1,775. Pilots have a mere 1,775 meters of reinforced asphalt to safely bring down heavy narrow-body jets. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 5,800 feet. It leaves an incredibly tight, almost non-existent margin of error. When a pilot is coming in at hundreds of miles per hour, bearing the massive weight of a commercial airliner, literally every single meter of that runway is vital. There is simply no room to float down the runway or miss the touchdown zone. You have to nail it.
And the geography around it? It's extreme. The runway is tightly squeezed by water on two sides and a massive rock looming over the third. If a plane overshoots to the west, well, it's instantly in the Bay of Gibraltar. If it overshoots to the east, it plunges right into the Mediterranean Sea. Pilots are essentially threading a massive flying needle between two bodies of water and a monolithic mountain. It is a highly claustrophobic flying environment that demands absolute precision from the flight crew. But wait, it gets harder. The sheer physical presence of the colossal Rock of Gibraltar creates highly unique and frankly dangerous aerodynamic phenomena, specifically severe wind shear and microburst turbulence. As prevailing winds smash into the sheer face of the rock, the air fractures into unpredictable, violent currents right in the aircraft's final approach path. These invisible forces can toss a 70-ton commercial airliner around like a toy. This is exactly why this airport is frequently ranked among the world's most extreme landing environments. You can't just casually fly in here. You actually have to be specially certified for it.
Which brings us to part three, World War II Roots to Modernity and Historical Evolution. Let's rewind to 1939. As World War II loomed, the British military hastily constructed an emergency naval air base directly over a historic racecourse. Because of its strategic location right at the mouth of the Mediterranean, it was an absolute necessity for the Allied war effort. From those desperate, rapid wartime origins, it slowly grew over the decades into that famous commercial runway that paused highway traffic and eventually blossomed into the high-tech, permanent facility operating today.
It is absolutely mind-blowing to think that the very bedrock supporting today's commercial flights was created from rocks blasted out of wartime military tunnels.
See, as engineers were carving this vast, complex network of defense tunnels deep inside the Rock of Gibraltar to protect troops and supplies, they took all that excavated solid rock and just pushed it out into the water. This massive physical labor extended the original dangerously short runway right into the sea. It is the ultimate example of geopolitical recycling, literally building an aviation lifeline entirely out of military debris.
Fast forward to today, and that historical bedrock supports a striking 380,000 square foot glass terminal. Constructed out of clear steel and reflective glass, it has this unique double frontage design that is brilliantly calibrated to handle both Gibraltar and Spanish border streams seamlessly. It stands in such stark contrast to the rough military origins beneath it. And hey, if you have some time to kill before your flight, there's an advanced rooftop viewing deck. It lets you take in sweeping panoramic vistas of the Rock of Gibraltar. And on a clear day, you can even see the coast of North Africa directly across the water.
Now for part 4. Airlines, daily operations, and its role as a geopolitical lifeline.
When it comes to everyday operations, EasyJet commands over half the market, alongside British Airways. EasyJet heavily routes scheduled flights to UK cities like London Gatwick, Manchester, and Bristol, which really provides the bulk of the territory's passenger volume. Meanwhile, British Airways acts as the high-frequency scheduled flag carrier, connecting Gibraltar directly to its massive global Heathrow hub. You'll also spot some seasonal or regional operations, like Vueling flying over to Madrid. Now, for broader transatlantic journeys, travelers typically just cross the border to nearby Malaga Airport in Spain. But for direct UK access and maintaining vital territorial links, this localized setup is incredibly efficient.
And speaking of efficiency, it is practically unmatched. You can literally get off your plane and be at the town center or at the physical Spanish border checkpoint in a 2-minute drive or just a 10-minute walk. That kind of proximity is virtually unheard of in commercial aviation. Plus, because Gibraltar does not charge VAT, the Departures Lounge is this highly sought-after, tax-free paradise for travelers looking for high-end retail without the massive markup. It is seriously as convenient and frictionless as international travel gets.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Consider how mastering such a small, extreme geographical anomaly completely ensures the survival and global connectivity of an entire territory. Think about it. A tiny 1775-meter strip of asphalt bounded by 2 seas, overshadowed by a massive rock that throws turbulent winds at inbound planes, literally built out of World War II tunnel debris, and sitting just a 10-minute walk from a bustling town center. It is an absolute triumph of logistics and engineering. It really makes you wonder, what other impossible infrastructural marvels are waiting out there to be explored? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep feeding your curiosity.